All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bideo, a video games podcast. This is episode 14, I believe. A little confusing because last episode was 13.5, but I'm pretty sure this is 14. And it is September 7th, and we are joined by some familiar faces. We have one Nick. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thank you.
It's good to be back on the video.
It has been a while since we recorded. As demonstrated by our last episode being an exclusive Norns only podcast, we had some scheduling conflicts, so we were not able to attend. But we are today also joined by everyone's favorite, Dan. Dan, how's it going?
It's going well, Steve. I'm glad to be back home in Minnesota.
We will get
ready to do some recording.
We will get into that in just a moment, because I know you have some interesting stories to tell. But first, we have to bring in our last member. We are, as always, joined by Noah? No, we are not joined by Noah.
No,
That's where you're wrong, nerds. Through the power of audio editing, I am in this podcast. And I enjoyed most of the things Nick has played, actually.
To compensate for the fact that he had to shoulder the entire podcast alone last week, he is not available this time. So you'll get the three of us playing catch-up, and in your brain, maybe you can combine this episode and last episode together and you create one cohesive podcast where you know what everybody's been up to, and then we'll get started again on episode 15. But we have enough of the dream team here to hopefully give you something relatively entertaining. So, yeah, what's everybody been up to?
well, as you already know, I went to PAX last weekend, so that's what I was up to. Walking around Seattle, looking at video game stuff, standing in lines. Actually, we didn't do a whole lot of standing in lines. And then, playing some games.
Well, what were the most interesting games that you were able to play at PAX?
The games that I played at PAX were actually very limited this year because all of the lines were extremely long. You go to, and you're gonna expect long lines, right? But this was we're talking the Monster Hunter Worlds line was 3 hours long. So, I didn't play that game.
Doesn't it
And there
come
were
out
other
soon?
lines. I thought it was first quarter next year.
Oh, okay.
January or something.
That's a ways away then. Okay.
Yeah. Got some time. But, Dave really wanted to play that. I really didn't care for it because I don't really care for the Monster Hunter games. I might give it a try if it's different or more objective based than the other Monster Hunter games, but I could never stick with them because it was just always so not much of a direction, at least to me. So we'll see. I did play the new Dissidia NT. If you played on teams of 3 versus other teams of 3, and if your team won, you got a cool Gil coin.
Oh.
Pretty decent size. It was the size of a $50. The first time I went in with, we had a couple newbies with us this year. So I had to lead them around, PAX and, the city. But, we played as a team and we lost horribly. So the next time we went through the line, we all split up and went one on each, we went in single. And, I ended up playing against one of them and my team won that time. And, I was the only one that won of the 3 of us, so I got a coin and I gave it to one of those guys because they really wanted it. And then we didn't play it as much later or didn't win when we did, so I didn't get another coin. Which was fine, because I didn't really need it or want it. They were handing out PAX Sivir skins in the swag bag, so I got 4 of those. 1 for myself and 3 for some special friends.
Wait, what did you just say? Sivir skins?
Yeah, PAX Sivir for League of Legends.
Oh, so is that the name of a hero?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She has a boomerang. They had a skin for her, an original PAX skin, like 5 years ago, and this one is like a recolor of that one. So it's still not the same one as previously, and apparently if you already had the old one, you automatically got the new one. So that was kind of neat. And everyone was giving out fidget spinners. They were everywhere. Could not get away from them.
A little late to the party, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got the League or Riot people were giving out League of Legends fidget spinners that looked like Sivir's cross boomerang thing. It's actually neat looking. I tried to avoid them. I didn't pick any other ones up, but I took that one. And then, as always, they were doing their little penny arcade thing, which are just limited edition pins, that are given away at booths for playing games, buying them, so on and so forth. It's kind of crazy how, like, intense that the hunt for those is. So, I mean, I didn't really go out of my way I definitely didn't buy any. I got the one from the Riot folks, and then there was one for Discord that I picked up, that involved posting something to Twitter and going to find their booth and showing them. So, that,
Was it a Discord pin?
Yeah. It's like, I think it's like an emoji or something it's like a little, air horn.
Huh. Interesting. You know, I would have, they introduced that like a few years ago. I would have thought that by now people wouldn't care about the pins anymore.
Right? Instead, it's the opposite.
Like,
everyone cares about the pins.
There's so many, and like, I've never met someone in real life, I guess, that actually collects the pins, but there must be a market of people out there that are collecting them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can look on eBay and see listings of them. It's insane.
Yeah, well, like, last year, I think it was, a friend of mine went to PAX, or knew someone that went to PAX and got one for the new South Park game, the Fractured But Whole, and I think he ended up posting it online because he like had a double or didn't care about it, and it sold for like $80 or something like that. I was like, what? $80 for a pin?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely insane. Like they sell them there for between $10 to $20. So like at the vendors that do that, and otherwise you're standing in line for hours to get them, or you go to a panel. Like there was a Witcher 3, or I should say Witcher 10-year anniversary panel. I was gonna go to that, but I thought, it's gonna be super packed and really hard to get into that panel, so I'm just not even gonna try. And they were giving away a pin for it and a t-shirt. But, like I said, I didn't go because that was the only panel that really interested me, and I didn't want to stand in line for 3 hours or whatever to get into the panel.
That makes sense.
Some other cool stuff was I played the new Switch game, the Battle Chef Brigade, and for playing that you get an apron. So I have a nice apron now for grilling.
So that I heard about that. I think they mentioned it on the Giant Bombcast, but it's like a platformer / match 3 game. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How does it work?
So the tutorial is really long, so I didn't actually play it. I watched somebody else play it, and then the booth people walked away from the pile of aprons, so one of the friends ran over and just grabbed aprons for us, so we didn't have to wait forever. But it looked like, you platform and you dodge and kill animal like birds and cow beasts and stuff to collect ingredients. You collect the ingredients, you run back to the castle or wherever the heck the contest is, and then you cook. You throw your stuff on the stovetop, and then depending on what you put in there and how you do it, it adds colors I think Puyo, like Puyo Puyo. It drops little blobs in, and then you can rotate them around to match colors of 3, and then they combine into a fire. or something, like a bigger one, and then they slowly add up, and you get a total points based on how well you do and how well you mix the ingredients. So it was pretty interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna run out and buy it, but it was definitely neat and a different spin on that. But I'm not a huge fan of games like that involve the like matching flippy like mobile game kind of stuff. That they integrate that. So.
And it seems kind of interesting. I don't like. Did it start as a free-to-play game or something, or like a mobile game, or was it always?
I don't know the history of it. I think they just started it this way.
Huh. That's cool.
It's made by the Adult Swim people.
Huh. Neat.
Yeah, and they had the Toe Jam and Earl game there too. Didn't play that one, but you could get a hat. They were out of hats by the time I got to it, but you could get a hat for playing that. They had, what else did they have? Of course, the Indie Mega Booth had lots of cool stuff. La Mulana 2 was there again. And then some other guys from the same studio or whatever had a couple other games. One was like a mech, like rail shooter kind of game. Well, it wasn't rail shooter. It was like a, I didn't play it, but it looked like a fast-paced, like you're driving forward, and it's also like a bullet hell kind of game, but it's 3D, so it was interesting. See, Chasm was there again. It was cool to see that because I've been looking forward to that game. Didn't have a release date, I don't think, unfortunately. Your friends, Limited Run, were there. Selling merchandise.
Not surprised to hear that.
Yeah. And then like Indie Box was there too. They kind of do the same thing as Limited Run, but not quite to the extent I would say that Limited Run does. And it seemed to be mostly Steam games, so there would be like a Steam code in the box with whatever other goodies you got from it. Let's see.
And Indie Box is a subscription service, and then Limited Run is just like you buy it if you want it.
Right. You could just buy them straight up at PAX though. Just buy one game.
Oh.
Thing with it though is that
year.
yeah, right. At the very last day they were 35, I think, or 30. They're selling all their games for $10. The Indie Box place. They're sold out within minutes.
That's amazing. I mean, Indie Box does a lot of really good stuff. I think the last one I got was Banner Saga, and that was like a really well done box. So.
They had that one there. They had Jotun. They had a bunch of others, other stuff. I thought about buying Jotun, but I didn't. Instead,
are you interested in the Jotun one?
A little bit.
We might be able to talk later. I have one, and I also have a copy that I got from a Limited Run, so I might be willing to part with the Indie Box one.
Okay. I also, instead I bought a game called Slain, from a different vendor. They seem to be from Europe or something, because they were all very British, and all the game boxes were Peggy 16. But it's like a Castleroid kind of looking game. I haven't actually popped it in yet, but I bought the signature edition, so it came with a soundtrack, a little art book, and I got a neat coin with it as well. It worked out because one of the friends wanted to buy one of their other games, Yonder, if you'd heard of that one. Then they had like a deal if you bought two. One was 30, but if you bought two, it was 50. So we pooled our money and bought that. Then, oh man, there's just so much. What else did I do? Hung out with my WoW friends. They were all out there again. A couple more of them showed up this year. So every year that crowd keeps growing, so that's always fun to see everybody. We wandered around Seattle. I went to a lot of restaurants that I don't think I would have gone to if these two new friends didn't come with, because they had them on their list. We went to a ramen shop, Katsu Burger, where they deep fry their burgers. Went to the international district. That was pretty neat. But as far as game stuff, that's kind of it. I mean, they had a big stand for Ark, because I think there's an expansion or something coming out for that. Maybe I didn't really pay attention to it.
As far as I know, it just has been in early access this whole time, and now it's finally releasing.
Oh, really?
Like,
Yeah,
1.0 version is coming out.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains that then. Because I remember they had the dinosaurs there last year too. But they had these big dinosaurs you could go sit on.
The early access doesn't even mean anything anymore. A game will sit in early access forever, and then all it really means when it comes out of early access is that the company gets a little bit of free publicity again. But the game's basically been out.
It's so that if there's game-breaking bugs and stuff, they can just say, well, it's still early access. It's gonna be a little broken. We can fix it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's like they're having their cake and eating it too. It's like, come on. At this point, what early access doesn't even mean anything.
No, it really doesn't.
There's that game Fortnite, I think it is.
Yeah, they had that there as well.
That game, I think, is still in early access, but you can buy a physical copy of it at Target.
Are you serious?
Yeah, what does that even mean then? If it's in early access and you can just buy a copy off the shelf. Early access is just access at this point.
Yeah, I saw Ark. I was in Target yesterday and I saw Ark on there, and I don't know if the PS4, it was for PS4, I don't know if that was available for a while, or if that was new just because 1.0 finally came out, but
I'm not sure. I mean, I've seen it on Steam for a while and a couple of people have played it, but yeah, I don't know. I might look into it, but because the couple of the friends, the two that came with me, they have a friend that has an Ark server or something that they play on, so it's not as crappy as it might be if I just played by myself. Might be more interested in playing it, but we'll see. I put it on my wish list on Steam. Maybe I'll buy it when it's on sale. What other big ones? The new Shadow of War, I think, was there. The Lord of the Rings game.
I've never played one of those, but they seem good.
Yeah, Dave was playing it, the first one before we left, and he played the second one, and he got a light up fidget spinner for standing in line.
To add to his robust fidget spinner collection.
Yeah, totally.
Is there a kid out there or an adult out there that went to PAX and was so excited that this is the one spot where the fidget spinner fad hasn't died out, and was like, yes, I can finally build my fidget spinner collection up. I'm gonna have so many exclusives.
I have no idea. I hope so, to be honest, because that would just make that guy's trip.
Ridiculous.
Let's see, what other big games did they have running? They were, they had Ooblets there, the new Double Fine game. It's like a Harvest Moony kind of looking kind of game. I didn't play it, but my friend was really excited about it. Didn't get to play it until Monday because it took that long for the line to be at a reasonable line.
Yeah.
Not super long. They had a stand for OKKO, the new Cartoon Network show. Also has a game, apparently. Let's see, what else? What was on the other side? There was like a Total War stand, but it was like this weird like enclosure because it was like a Total War like not. I can't even think of the right like name for it, but it was in like a castle basically in like the jungle or something, and you'd go inside of that to play the demo. They had you ever play the game Alien Swarm on Steam, where it's like a top-down like wave survival kind of game?
I think I played it a little bit on PSN. Was that one of those games that was free years ago when the PSN went out for like a month?
I mean, the game's always free. It's free on Steam,
Oh,
so
is
it's
it?
probably yeah. I played it a little bit. I played it quite a bit on Steam. But there's a new game from Devolver, I think it was, that looked a lot like that one. Like top down, like stuff running at you. Use your mouse to quickly aim around and shoot stuff. That looked pretty neat. I've got a pile of cards here for indie games that I picked up that I can dig through real quick, and then I'll refresh my memory. Because I grabbed them as I go through, because that's how I remember what I want. There was a kind of an interesting looking one. I didn't play it, but it's called Emily is Away 2, Too. And it's like you're sitting at like a computer from like 95 or earlier, like with AOL and stuff on it. And I didn't quite grasp what was going on, but I thought the concept was kind of neat. There was a game showcased last year called The King's Bird, and then the people that did that one, that was like a platforming, like Super Meat Boy kind of game. Oh yeah, they had the new Super Meat Boy there, demoed.
Any swag?
No swag, but they had T-shirts and stuff that you could buy, and pins. I didn't buy any though.
I'm sure it's on their site too. So.
Yeah, it was just like the like Super Meat Boy's face, like on a red shirt.
Yeah.
The other one that looked kind of neat from those guys is called Once Upon a Coma, and it looked kind of like limbo-y, kind of like a you can't do anything, but you're walking along the level, like left to right, trying to get through. Don't remember what this one was. There was one, Tiny Metal, basically Advance Wars.
I heard
3D.
about that.
It looked really good, and it looked exactly like Advance Wars. Like, capture buildings, make units at the buildings. They've got rifle infantry, bazooka infantry, trucks, so on and so forth.
Same, like, cartoony style and stuff like that?
Yep. Well, it's in 3D now, so not the exact same cartoony style, but the like leader sprites do remind you of Advance Wars.
I'm surprised it took this long for someone to make an Advance Wars clone exactly like that.
Yeah, me too. I picked up a card for a game called Aegis Defenders, but it doesn't show me enough to remind me what it was about. Let's see. I don't know what that one is. The La Mulana 2 card. I actually talked to I think it was the developer of the game was there. This nice little Asian guy. And I asked him directly, you got a release date? And he goes, oh no, not yet. Yeah, I actually have the La Mulana card from 2 years ago on my desk still. Let's see, what else? Oh, this was the other one. Break Arts 2, Beauty in Destruction, was the mech, like, super fast shooter looking game. So that's all that I had in my drawer. I know there was more. There was one called Coffence, where you're two baristas and you have cups of coffee and you fight each other. And when you hit the other guy, one drop of his coffee goes flying in the air. You can catch it in your cup. And once their cup is completely out of coffee, they lose.
I am interested.
It was actually pretty fun. I liked it. Let's see. There were a lot of return indie games, like That Y2K one, the one that was giving out the buttons that had my face on it. They didn't have my face on a button this year, unfortunately. They had one of the other characters on their buttons instead.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. I got a West of Loathing had a booth there. They were just giving out buttons, so I grabbed one for Noah because that's what we wanted. Final Fantasy XIV had a setup there, much like they did last year, where if you beat one of the primal, you get a shirt that says "I beat Susanoo." Last year they had ones for Ravana and wherever one of the other ones from Heaven's Ward. I don't remember. It wasn't Bismarck. It was somebody else. But they had two of them last year.
For some reason, I remember it being Shiva, but I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know.
Right. I mean, it might have been, but they had the Square booth also had what was it? The new game from the guys that did I'm Setsuna.
Does that game have a name yet? I know that they announced that they were
Lost
making
Sphere, I think, or Last Sphere. I want to say.
Oh yeah, I do remember hearing that name.
Mm-hmm.
That should be good. I liked I Am Setsuna, and I assume that they will not. I would guess that they would have received the feedback from people that it was a little bit too much in one area, like in the snow, so they would try to diversify it. But even if they don't, I still would be fine. Like,
yeah,
still a very solid game.
Well, I saw some gameplay of it. It's not in the snow anymore. Everybody has feet.
I'm already less interested now.
The like actual combat looks very similar to I Am Setsuna. Like they just lifted the combat engine over, which was fine. It was a good one. So it's looking good though. I'll probably pick that one up. I also plan on picking up the Dissidia NT if I didn't mention that.
When's that come
out?
I
wasn't next January, I think.
Oh.
So you got it's a ways out, but I pre-ordered it to get the Steelbook.
Ooh.
Let's see. The Oatmeal had a booth there again. It was actually kind of funny because it was like a giant cat, because they have the Exploding Kittens is their game. Mm-hmm. And you'd walk up and people inside would hold up like a sign that would say, "What do you want?" But everything's, misspelled and goofy. And you'd push a button on the front of it for like what thing you wanted to buy out of it, and you'd put the money in, and then it would just barf out whatever you bought onto the floor. It was pretty good. The downside to that is that it attracted a lot of people, so the line was super duper long and always took forever to get through. So I didn't buy anything from there. I wanted to, and they had a couple of the things at another booth, but I didn't think about buying it until the last day, so they're already sold out. But one of them was a cat plushie that barfed a rainbow. So I really wanted to pick that one up, but I waited too long on that one, which is my bad. They weren't handing out behemoth bags, unfortunately. Not for free, anyway. But if you bought something at the behemoth booth, then you got one of the drawstring bags.
Well,
so I bought a chicken and a sweater.
Oh, a chicken, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
It's a small plushie, couple inches tall, nice and fat, just like the behemoth chicken. And then my friend bought a unicorn thing from there, and then at the very last day they were actually handing out the bags, like there's extra bags.
And you bought stuff like a sucker.
I mean, it's a really nice sweater, so I have no regrets.
Well, we'll see come Christmas how dapper you look.
Yeah.
It's a hoodie, not a Christmas sweater. Let's see what. There's just so much stuff going on. It's hard to remember all of it. One neat thing that they did this year was they had like a PAX XP thing where like they had these towers set up, and you'd register your badge at the beginning, and you'd walk to the tower and like scan the code on the badge, and like each badge had a QR code on it, and some of them are just like you scan it and then you instantly win something. Other ones like you'd have to go to each. There's like 3 sets of 3, so there are 9 towers. If you visited all 9 towers each day, you would get entered into something. And if you managed to do all of them every day, then you would get a special golden pin. But we didn't really figure that out until near the end of the first day, so we didn't even try.
Aw.
But it was kind of a neat way to like lead people around to PAX to like different areas where they might not have gone to. Like there's a certain part that I always kind of saw, but I didn't know how much was ever there, and I never went there in previous years. But it's called the Annex. It's just like a small offshoot of the main hall that seemed to just have shops and stuff in it. But that's where the Discord booth was this year, so that was kind of interesting. And then I think they had them at like the other hotels where they had some of the like panels and stuff. There was a big Destiny 2 thing at one of the theaters, but I didn't even go over there. I heard the line for the shop, the Bungie shop, was like 3 hours long to buy anything. I still haven't decided if I'm going to buy that game or not, but
Destiny
it's still
2?
up in the air. Yeah.
I would say if you're not sure, give it a couple weeks for people that are really into it to get to the end of the game and see if it's still fun for them.
If it's worth it.
Yeah.
I can't take Dadler's opinion for that though, because I mean, it's going to take him like months to get to the end of the game.
Do you think he'll even buy it?
I'm pretty sure he will, because he seemed pretty psyched for it, but I haven't talked to him in a while.
I know Scott just picked that up, too.
Oh, then I'll wait for Scott to pick. Scott will definitely get to the end.
Yeah. And I know he liked the last one, so.
Yeah, I didn't have anything against the last one. Really, it's just that I was in it day one. I got to max level, I'm like, well, I guess I'm done. And I just never played it again.
Yeah, I might pick it up,
I'll wait
too.
for his opinion. We can be in a squad.
I could be convinced to pick it up if everybody was playing it, so we'll see how the winds blow.
Sounds good. Well, that's pretty much it from what I can think of off the top of my head anyway. Let me rifle through my buttons real quick, see if there's any other ones.
Sounds like a lot, though. Do you ever go to any panels when you're out at PAX?
Yes and no. Like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on what it is. Like I said, the Witcher panel I kind of wanted to, but that one was probably a big one, so it would have been tough to get into.
Yeah.
Last year I went to the Gwent panel. 2 years ago, I think it was, I went to the Xenoblade X panel. So I go to them every once in a while. It's just, it kind of depends on what else is going on. If the friends that are with me don't want to do that kind of stuff, then I'll probably just do whatever they're doing. Because I have more fun hanging out with people at those kind of events than just doing my own thing. So, and the two that I was hanging out with the whole time didn't seem to have any interest in any panels at all. So, there was definitely lots of cool cosplay running around. I saw a Noctis with a fishing pole. Not a sword, a fishing pole.
Nice.
That guy knows what that game's about.
I was like, I texted Pat right away. I'm like, Pat, I saw Noctis with a fishing pole. So, there's lots of Final Fantasy 15 cosplays. There's some really good Destiny cosplay. other goofy stuff. Like there was a Cosmo and Wanda from Fairly Odd Parents,
Oh, that's good.
and I saw a couple Catherine cosplays. There was your abundance of Mario, Luigi's, and Peaches and stuff.
Your standard cosplay fare.
There was a really good female pyramid head. Big sword, got the whole pyramid head helmet thing going on. When she took the helmet off, even her like face and everything was done up, and she had white contacts in.
That's
So
cool.
I was really impressed. See what else? What other neat cosplays? There was a like pyramid guy from a TV show. It's like a pyramid with a top hat. I don't know what show that is though. Gravity Falls, maybe?
That sounds right. I've never seen the show, but I think I remember seeing a pyramid on the cover to one of the 3DS games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there was a handful of Gravity Falls walking around. There was near 2B 9S
Yeah.
cosplays running around. So a little bit of everything, It's kind of what you'd expect. So it's always neat to see what people do and how much time and effort they pour into that. So yeah. One of the other purchases I made was a board game called Laser Riders. And it's Riders is spelled Ryderz. It comes in the box looks like a VHS collection, and it's a 4-player game, and each of the player characters you pull out of this box like it's a VHS tape. And it's like pre-worn and everything, and the creators signed it for me. It looks really fun. We're probably gonna play it tomorrow when we have board game night. You're riding a light cycle, and then I think it's how long you can make your track, and then you can like when you take sharp turns and stuff, it slows your bike down, and I think other people are able to cut in front of you, and to crash you, in a light cycle Tron kind of game. So it looked really fun. The box looked really cool, and it was $40. So I was all up on that one. So yeah, lots of stuff at PAX. You should go sometime, Steve.
I would like to get out to a PAX at some point. I don't know when exactly, but it does seem fun. Would you say that they just keep getting bigger, or do you think that they've kind of peaked at this point?
I mean, I haven't been to East or South, but West seems to... It still seems as big to me as it did when I first got there, like a couple of years ago, but it's hard for me to say without seeing numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Someday I'll get out there.
Yeah, because every year they're more efficient about shoveling people in the door and not being all over the place, so
That's
it's
good.
yeah. It's hard to tell, because if they do it more efficiently, it's like, oh no, it seems like the same amount of people.
That's true.
But, yeah.
That's awesome.
Enough about me, I suppose. I did play a couple games, but not for very long, of my own, like Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton, while we were on the plane. Made some good progress on that one. And then I picked up the Mario and Rabbids game, but I haven't had a chance to really get into that one.
I've been hearing that that's actually really good.
Yeah, my friend was raving to me about it while I was out in Seattle. He's like, this game's actually really good, and he'd beat it already.
Oh my god. Yeah, I feel bad because I've kind of neglected my Switch lately, but I feel like I should go maybe pick that one up. It seems like a worthwhile title.
I'd say, well, I mean, it sounds like it. I can't really say one way or the other because I'm Only like one chapter into it.
Luigi dabs, I know that.
He does dab. I think. Oh, this is it. This is a game. It's called Ruiner.
Never heard of it.
That's the alien swarm looking game. I just happened to look on Reddit and somebody posted a gameplay video from Gamescom. So it looks pretty sweet though. I'll post a video in our chat. You can watch it later. But yeah, what have you guys been up to?
Sweet.
Missing you.
Yeah, we just sat around thinking about PAX, but we never got to go. Honestly, I don't think I've really been up to a whole lot. Outside of games, which we'll get into in a little bit. Just working, went out to Madison a couple weeks ago. I don't think we've recorded since I went out there, so I went out and played some more in the groove with my friends out in Wisconsin. That was fun. And just generally being a bum. Work's been actually pretty busy lately, so I've become a boring human for a while. But that's okay. Nick, what have you been doing?
I've also not been doing a whole lot. Mostly work. So.
Uh-oh. Dan, you're a tough act to follow.
I know.
I'm sorry.
You live such a fancy lifestyle.
I am, though, and it's bad. I don't remember which weekend it is. One of the weekends in September, either 2 weeks from now or at the end of September, I'm going to Distant Worlds. So that'll be fun. It's always fun to go to Distant Worlds.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've never been to that, but I've always kind of wanted to go.
Yeah, Leah bought me tickets for Christmas, I think, for me and her. It's in Chicago, so we're going to go out there for the weekend. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, Distant Worlds is the orchestrated Final Fantasy concert, and so it's a selection of orchestrated tracks from different Final Fantasy games. And it's usually conducted by Arnie Roth, and a lot of the times Nobuo Uematsu will make an appearance, although he doesn't conduct or have a major presence outside of saying hi and waving to everybody and looking sheepish. But it's always super fun. This will be my fourth time going.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've gone to a bunch of them over like the last 5 years. And usually you get like the same couple songs, like you're always going to hear One Winged Angel. You're always going to hear some version of the Chocobo medley. But then they switch it up every now and again too.
Do they ever do the Angry Chocobo song from 13-2?
I don't know that, but I'm going to say no.
They most definitely don't. It's really bad. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll link that to you, and you can tell me.
Yeah.
They only have ever done like Mambo de Chocobo and stuff, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's like and
that's
the
a good
swing.
one.
And I know the first year they did it when it was just, I think they're on their third collection of songs. Maybe fourth? Because they have a CD that you can buy at the show, and I know I have Distant Worlds 1 and 2, and I think it's the third one that's out, but they did mostly music that Nobuo had done himself. And so I think in their more recent shows too, they have been branching out and grabbing songs from some of the newer games that he wasn't necessarily involved in.
Yeah, they definitely did some 13 stuff that he wasn't a part of, and I know that I'm confident that they'll end up playing some stuff from 15 when we go out there. So
yeah, I was gonna say that game was so big. There's no way they can't do something from that. It had good soundtrack. I really liked it.
Yeah, but it's a fun show. I remember I was blown away that first time I went, and they redid the opera scene from Final Fantasy VI, and they got opera singers to do the parts and everything. It was so good.
yeah, that was the most memorable songs I've ever heard were probably that, and a lot of the times they start with the opening mission bombing run from Final Fantasy VII, and for
Mhm.
some reason that is just like such a killer way to open a show like that. It's such a good opening track that it always like really sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And I remember, I think the first show I did, they did a lot of 8 music from 8, and they had like a big screen
Nice.
in the back, and they like had the guy like in game running around.
Oh, Squall.
Yeah.
Squad, yeah, and then they timed it so like as he was running around on the screen and then got into a battle, they started playing like the battle music. And it was,
Oh,
it was
wow.
like it was just really
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be fun to go to. I'll definitely let you guys know what the highlights were when I do go. But I'm not sure what weekend it is. You'd think I would know, but I'm also going out to Wisconsin to see a live reading by Stephen King. So I forget which weekend is which, but that'll be my September. But yeah,
Sounds like a pretty good September to me.
should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But I suppose we could move into what we've been playing, because it's been a long time since we re-recorded, and I'm assuming that there's a backlog of stuff that we've played. But I'm going to let Nick go first, because I'm most interested to hear about him, since Dan already talked about a little bit what he played.
So the breadth of what I've been playing, I don't think has changed a lot since the last recording. I did beat Baldur's Gate, the first one. I was playing the Enhanced Edition on Steam, and that game was great. The still clunky and old, clicking to move, isometric, kind of like Diablo. But it was a pretty hard game too. There were some parts that like stumped me, just like from trying to fight the enemies.
Those
and
old games are tough.
Overcome odds. Yeah, like there's a cave that you have to get through, and at the end there's like 3 greater basilisks, and I like assumed that I like maybe wasn't supposed to fight them, or was supposed to find a way around, because every time I would like run up to them, they would like instantly turn my party to stone, like just everybody. And Baldur's Gate is a game where like if your main character dies, game over. Like doesn't matter if everyone else is still alive. And so I like was trying to insulate the main character, like have them in the center of the group and try just rushing past. But nope, you had to fight them. And it ended up being like a simple fix, like you just cast the spell that makes you immune to stone. Not a big deal, but
How about that? When fighting basilisks, you want to be immune to stone.
yeah. And then the fight was really easy. You like kill him in 2 hits. And then the last boss was really fun because I guess I should try not to give spoilers, but you fight the last boss, and at the same time, you have to fight 3 of his lieutenants. And so you can't even see his cronies back there. You run up, and he's like, "Hey, here's some quest talk." And then the 3 cronies become visible. I read guides, and apparently they just stand back there and they're cloaked. So what I ended up having to do was sneak around the side of the room and try to lure out just one of the lieutenants. And if you manage not to like aggro the main guy, the doors of the room won't lock on you. And so what I had to do was like grab one of the lieutenants, get him to come close enough to where they would zone out of the room when I left and try to follow me. Because each individual room is like a square that you have to load into. And so I was able to, one by one, get them all to follow me out, despite them all being behind the main guy. So you had to like be pretty sneaky.
That sounds like the nonsense you had to do in World of Warcraft Alterac Valley back in the day. Because like the boss would have lieutenants, and you'd pull them out one at a time and kill them, and then kill the boss.
I remember that. It's very similar. And so that was Baldur's Gate. Fun game. I had been putting off buying the second one, like on Steam sales, just because I hadn't played the first one. So now I'm kind of excited that during the next Steam sale, I can pick up Baldur's Gate 2. And I don't know much about the series, but I want to say I've seen that people generally like the second game more. Maybe just has a better story or cleaner mechanics or something. But pretty excited for that. I also started playing a game called Rebel Galaxy on Steam. And that's just like a game where the premise is like your aunt sent you a message to like come out to some backwater planet in the solar system and help her out. And so like you just kind of start the game and it's just a game where you like pilot a spaceship around in space and you can shoot your lasers and you can make money in various ways. You can like mine asteroids or do missions that you get from like the local bars at the various space stations, or you can like be a bounty hunter. You can also, there's a bunch of different factions that you can befriend, like the citizens, the like space militia, who are like the kind of the police or the army or something, and then there's like several like gangs or pirate groups that you can also either attack or befriend. And so that game I played for quite a while. I'm a sucker for like space simulation games of any wide variety. Like I played a ton of Kerbal Space Program, and just like getting to fly rockets and fly around in space, very fun. But this game too, the combat is a little weird because it's not like you just fly around and shoot ahead. The majority of your weaponry is like on your broadsides of your ship, so like it's almost like naval combat where you have to like pull your spaceship in next to something else, and then like fire your broadside cannons at them.
Space Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like when I was reading some articles, I think some people had compared it to, what's the Assassin's Creed game that has boats?
Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Black Flag, yeah. That was the one.
Black Flag is just Ocean Skies of Arcadia, so it all makes sense.
So I was playing that as well. It's not like terribly complicated, and it's a little repetitive. Like the missions are usually just like fly here and shoot some guys, fly here and shoot some other guys. But it's got a fun progression of like, getting money, upgrading your different kinds of weapons. So there's this, you can eventually like buy new ships too, like bigger and better, faster. So that was a fun, entertaining game to play. What else was I doing? I haven't, there are a few games that I was playing that I haven't really touched in a while. I haven't played much Persona or Final Fantasy 15. Those have been kind of on the back burner. But, the one other game that I started getting into was Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo.
Yes, tell me.
Yes. And I don't have a Super Nintendo, so I've just been playing it on an emulator, with like an Xbox 360 controller. But
I will never not enjoy that you bought a PS4 and a stack of games, and then immediately following downloaded a Super Nintendo emulator and started playing through Shadowrun.
it's so good.
Didn't they make a new Shadowrun game not that long ago?
So I didn't know much about the series, so I read the wiki on it.
Oh, okay.
And Shadowrun itself it's like a dystopian cyberpunk, like universe where magic still exists as well. And a Shadowrunner is basically like it's a person who does like mercenary jobs for all the mega corporations that rule the world. So you're basically just like do contract killings, or maybe you steal some stuff and have to deliver it. But it was meant to be like a Dungeons and Dragons type role playing experience. So I think you can like buy, similar to like the Dungeon Master guides, you could probably buy those for Shadowrun as well. So there were a couple Super Nintendo games just one Super Nintendo game. There was another one for the Sega Master System, I think.
The Sega Genesis has a Shadowrun game.
Yeah. And then sometime in the 2000s for the 360, they made, I want to say it was kind of just a shooter that had the name Shadowrun on it, but like didn't have much to do with the actual universe. But then, on Steam, and probably on some other systems, a game called Shadowrun Returns came out, which looks like it's like a isometric kind of tactical RPG. And I love tactical RPGs. And so I bought that, and it has two sequels now. There's Shadowrun Dragonfall, and then Hong Kong. And so I kind of wanted to play those, but I was like, wondering if there was more content like in the backlog of games. Because I like to play things in order if they have interconnected stories, you know. I don't like to skip ahead. So I had read the wiki on Shadowrun and found out it had a couple games that weren't really terribly related. But this game, I think, was developed by the company that the guy who like created Shadowrun started. And then the new games on Steam are made by that same guy who just got funding from like doing a Kickstarter campaign. So they're all from the same mind, which made it more appealing, even if they're not directly connected. So on a whim, I just went and started playing the Super Nintendo Shadowrun. And it's been very fun. It's like kind of an adventure game in some ways. You have to run around and like solve puzzles by like using items in weird ways, and then you also have to like find items. You might have to find keys or notes or passwords to help you progress in the story. And then the combat is pretty simple. You have a gun or magic, or maybe both. I haven't actually gotten magic in the game yet, but it's an option in the menu. But you have your gun. When you want to use it, you hit the gun button, and it brings up a reticle on the screen that you have to move around like a mouse, like a cursor. So you can't move your character when that happens. And so you just have to like stop, move the reticle, and just start mashing A until the other guy dies.
I wonder, because the Sega Genesis has like a Justifier light gun, I wonder if you can plug that into the second controller port on an actual Genesis and use that at the same time.
That would be cool.
You can do that in Snatcher for the Sega CD, because there's some shooting parts in that, so I don't know.
I know the games, the Genesis game is like an entirely different beast.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that one's like combat would be.
Oh yeah, I suppose if it's a Super Nintendo one, like you're not going to plug a Super Scope in, so probably not. Never mind.
It'd be good. And like when you want to like click on an item or open a door or talk to a person, you also have to like bring up a cursor, like a hand, to click on that person to select them.
The classic hallmark of an old video game, like a Dragon Warrior game.
So it's pretty clunky. And like the graphics are Super Nintendo. I would say they're pretty good for the era. Everything is kind of gray and dingy though, just because it's like a dystopian future.
Yeah, that's okay though. From what I saw, it wasn't gray and dingy in the way that like a muted, low budget like PS2 game. It doesn't give you that kind of vibe. It looks like appropriate to the tone of the game.
Yeah, like every once in a while you'll see a little bit like neon signs and stuff. Because like you would expect to kind of see that in like a cyberpunk future.
Very Blade
Also-
Runner-esque.
Yeah. Also, the game takes place in Seattle. So.
Ooh.
Hey, I've been there. I bet I know my way around that game.
Have you been to the car junkyard?
No, I didn't get down there this year.
Ah,
Maybe next year,
damn,
though.
Yeah. There's a fighting pit. You can shoot
Could earn
guys for
some
money.
cash. Nice.
Yeah. So, it's a cool game. There's also some of the mercenaries you can hire call themselves deckers. And their like shtick is that they can jack into what they call the Matrix. Which I assume is just like what the game thought the internet would be before there was real internet. But it's just basically a mini game that is kind of like Minesweeper, but you have to navigate on like a grid through a grid that has invisible like mines on it and get to the other side where you can like download data. And that data might be like credits so you can get money, or it might be a clue to keep going in the game. I ran into a locked elevator, so like I was able to like reprogram the elevator and turn it back on. So like you can do stuff like that too. So there's like a couple cool little aspects to that game that have been really fun. And I'm excited to beat it. Because I think I'm a pretty good chunk of the way through. Probably putting a good 10 hours in so far.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's it for Shadowrun, I think. Oh, it is an old game, so there's like some delightfully racist parts in it. Like they don't cast like Native Americans or black people in a very great light. Like there's a lot of the magic users are shamans. And so they're very clearly supposed to look like Native Americans. And there's one that you meet whose name is like Dances with Clams. Like, come on, come on.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's that. And then I've just been kind of playing Skyrim off and on. Nothing too exciting. I've just been doing some of the DLC that I didn't play my first time through. So I did the Dragonborn DLC where there's like the new island that's got a lot of the Morrowind type stuff on it. And I think I did everything in there, or at least the main story in there, and then now I'm doing some of I think it's called Dawn Guard, where it like has to do with vampires, and I think they improved the vampire and the werewolf mechanics, because now like you can, if you're one of those, you can have like, when you go into werewolf mode or turn into a vampire, you can have another tree of skills that you can like improve and unlock things, advance in. So right now I'm working on a vampire. So that's been fun. But other than that, I think that's all I've been playing. So Steve, what's been on your plate?
Alright. A decent amount of games. I'll try to just hit the major highlights and skim over the other ones. I I played a little bit of the Banner Saga for the first time. I got like an hour or two into that game. It seems like a pretty cool game so far. I'm not far enough into where the combat is particularly deep or the like traveling mechanics are particularly taxing, but I can see how they will eventually become taxing. I think for anyone that hasn't played Banner Saga before, it as you move around the map from like fight to fight or town to town, time passes at like super speed, and for every day that goes by, your caravan of people loses X amount of supply and morale, and you can optionally choose to bring people along in your caravan to have like a bigger party and more fighting options. But the more people you bring, the harder it is to keep them fed and keep them happy. And so I think that the game becomes kind of a tough balancing act of keeping people like fed and alive. But at the beginning of the game, it's pretty generous. They start you with a pretty good amount of resources, so that must come a little bit later. But it's a good game. Anyone that likes a really beautiful 2D animation or like grid tactical strategy games, strategy role-playing games will really like it, I think. It seems very cool. I also have been playing... I played all the way through and loved Sonic Mania. I feel like we're so like late to the party on Sonic Mania. Even Noah covered it in his solo cast in the Point 5. So I don't want to like belabor the point too much, but basically anyone that hasn't played Sonic Mania that is even remotely interested in Sonic games should go check out Sonic Mania. It's a shame that there already was a worse Sonic the Hedgehog 4, because this should be Sonic the Hedgehog 4. It's one for one in terms of play with the old games. Everything that they added is like a nice new feature. It's a really good mix of like levels and ideas and concepts that you recognize with some new stages and new layouts. The music is insane. It's so good, and there's a lot of like nods and references to past Sonic games and Sonic franchises and stuff without it seeming just like a fan fest. Like everything that's put in there is put in there very lovingly and very tactically. And all the new like level mechanics that they add feel like they could fit right in with any of the old Sonic games. So yeah, it's just that game is it's nice to have a great Sonic game to play. Sonic Generations was good, but this is a true return to form. So very, very good, and I highly encourage everyone to go check it out.
Yeah, because that was made by like a fan, right?
Yeah, so Christian Whitehead, I think is his name. He was a fan that made fan games, like ROM hacks and fan games of Sonic. And I could be wrong on this, so it's possible this isn't exactly right, but I think that they brought him on, and then also they brought on the studio that had been porting like Sonic CD and other Sonic games to mobile. So they like kind of combined the company that was good at porting Sonic games and the guy who was good at designing Sonic games. And they're like, here, you guys just go make us a Sonic game. We've tried 20 times and failed, so let's just let the fans make a Sonic game. We assume you'll do a good job. And obviously they did. Seems like there's something to letting dedicated fans of a series make a new entry. It seems like they have the potential to do a good job. They know what they are looking for. But yeah, definitely, if nothing else, go listen to the soundtrack on YouTube, because it's so good. All the remixed tracks are awesome, and the new music is quite good. Beyond that, I played and finished Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas on the Vita. So this was one of those limited run physical printings, and it's a game that I had heard of as seeming like a pretty interesting game in the past. It's basically a Zelda clone, if you want to like be a little bit oversimplifying your description of it. But yeah, I mean, you have hearts, you have a sword and shield, you get bombs and arrows, you run around, you're collecting medallions from dungeons, you're pushing blocks around, you're bombing walls with cracks in them, you're fighting patterned bosses. It plays like a top-down isometric Zelda game, and it was pretty good. It wasn't like the best game ever. It's one of those games that I like, but I think a lot of people are harder on because it's just like, yeah, that was a tasty meal. It was not the best food I've ever had, but my belly is full and I am happy to have a full belly. So maybe I don't value my time that well or something like that. But
Was it? That was the Vita, right?
it was on the version I played is on the Vita. I think it's also on the PS4, and it was originally, if I'm not mistaken, a mobile game.
Okay. Seems to me like if you don't have it, it might be something good to pick up for the Vita just to have another decent game on the Vita.
Very true, and nice to have a game on the Vita. Not that I don't like these, but nice to have another game on the Vita that's not a visual novel or dungeon crawling RPG. So it's definitely fresh in that regards. It has its problems. You can tell that the controls were ported from like touch-based controls because there's some stuff that just doesn't quite work right. You get like an item that lets you basically jump over one map tile at a time, and using that item is mapped to the same button as rolling, and the only difference is whether or not you're running or not. So if you're running and you press the button, you roll, and if you're standing and you press the button, you'll do the jump. So you'll be like trying to do a platforming section, and you'll accidentally slightly be holding forward and not have completely reset the stick to neutral, and you'll end up rolling
And you
off the
roll?
ledge. Yeah.
Oh no.
So I like that. That was probably the most frustrating part. And there's just like little annoyances like that peppered in here and there where it definitely is, in a lot of ways, the poor man's Zelda. But for someone that has played all the Zelda games and is looking for more of that in a different way, it definitely serves its job. If anything, the biggest thing you can like criticize about the game overall beyond the controls is that it doesn't really have its own identity. It just like it's trying to be a Zelda game, and it never does anything more than just be a Zelda game. Great final boss music though. Music by Nobuo Uematsu, which was very surprising to me. Here's one for you, Dan. What can you tell me about the game Poi?
Oh yeah, Poi. That game. I know the developer. I went to high school with him, and he gave me some codes for free, so I sprinkled them on my friends.
It's true. Does he live around here?
Yeah, we went to high school together. We went to Centennial.
I mean, you're not obligated
He-
to stay here after high school, so I didn't know.
Oh no, he lives in California now. Sorry, I thought you meant did he live around here? No, he moved to Washington to go to DigiPen, and now he lives in California.
Oh, cool.
So, he comes back every once in a while for holidays and stuff. So I get to hang out with him then, but, haven't gone out to California to visit him specifically. But, yeah, he was, during that whole, that goofy app, with the anonymous messages thing, he sent me a message with 3, codes for the game. So I used one, and I gave one to you, and then I gave the other one to Tyler.
I would not be surprised to learn that I've played it more than anyone else. Have you touched it at all?
I beat it.
Oh,
I
you
have
did?
one trophy left to platinum it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you'll actually be able to speak to it a little bit. It is... I don't think there's any way around saying that it is very heavily inspired by Super Mario 64.
Not at all. Like, you don't need to hide that at all because he doesn't hide it.
All right, so I mean, it plays like Super Mario 64.
To a T.
You're collecting medallions, you're going into worlds, and when you go into a world, it opens up a screen where you can see grayed out like the next medallion that you're going to get with a little description. And there are 6 medallions in every world, and then 1 for collecting 100 coins. You unlock a hidden level that's a slide in a snowy area. You're returning baby penguins to a mother penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Like this dude loves Super Mario 64. He loves it quite a bit. Yeah, you get like a trophy for doing the Super Mario 64 triple jump, and it's called like classic platforming or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And it has all the like movement tech of Super Mario 64. You can do like the jumping dive onto your stomach. You can do the triple jump. You can do like the run, and then you turn around and do a jump to do like a side hop. So it's just cool to be able to play another game like that. There are very few like movement based 3D platformers like that out in the world, and it's fun to go through it. I didn't fully finish the game. I got up to the part where you unlock like the hidden runes in each world.
Yeah, we have to run back and
yeah, and I did like 4 or 5 or 2 of them.
There's only 4 of them. So
2 of the 4. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have like 60 or 70 of the hero medallions or brave medallions or whatever they're called.
Yeah. Explorer medallions.
Explorer medallions, yeah. But no, it's a fun game. I mean, I love collectathon platformers, and this is very much a collectathon platformer. So if you like Mario 64, DK 64, Banjo-Kazooie, those types of games, you'll definitely get some enjoyment out of this one. And it seems to have pretty positive reviews on like Steam and stuff. It was more popular than I thought it would be.
Yeah, he did. They had a pretty good release on Steam. Their console release didn't do so hot, but they. I don't think he's gonna make any more games, but he did all right, I'd say.
Did well enough. Well, it's definitely it definitely is a game worth playing.
Yeah, I'd say so. And then I'm gonna try to platinum it, but in order to platinum it, you have to do New Game Plus. You wanna know what New Game Plus is? All the maps are mirrored. Not that really changes a whole lot in this type of a game, but you also only ever get 1 heart.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. So you just have to complete it on New Game Plus. So you have to get a minimum of, I think it was 60 medallions to do that. So like I went and I got all of the other trophies in like normal mode or whatever. And I had to laugh because at the end when you collect all of them, they put like a golden statue up of you, and you get like a golden reskin for your character. And then there's a sign next to the statue, and it just says, "Thanks for playing our game, Paul and Brian," or whatever the other guy's name was.
You're welcome.
So I took a picture of me standing next to it with the text box up, and I sent it to him. And I just called him a nerd.
Yeah, impressive stuff. Everyone go check it out on Steam. If nothing else, I'm sure it drops to a very low price on Steam sales and stuff, so.
I'm pretty sure it's been less than $5 multiple times, because it starts at 15 or so.
Yeah, so,
but,
cool game. Definitely cool.
For sure.
Other than that, I finished up Hollow Knight. That game is amazing. I already kind of went on in previous podcasts about it, I believe. I can't remember everything we've talked about, but Hollow Knight is a game everyone should check out. It will definitely come back up at the end of the year when we start talking Game of the Year stuff, because I feel pretty strongly about that one.
Pretty sure I have that one on my Steam wish list.
You should definitely get around to it sooner rather than later. It's half Super Metroid, half Dark Souls.
Let me see. Do I have it? Oh, maybe I don't. Could have swore I put it on here, but I guess I didn't. Oh, it's on there now.
Yeah, good. Super, super good.
Like I said, I watched my roommate play it,
Yeah.
and like I saw the end of it. So like I wasn't in like big on running out to buy it.
Yeah.
But
There
maybe
are
if it goes
multiple
on
endings.
sale, I'll pick it
So
up. Right. Yeah, he got like the super ending.
okay.
So
Then yeah, put a little distance between you and the game, but it's definitely good. Everyone should
definitely
play
one
that game.
on the books for sure.
Yeah. And then quickly, just some other stuff to wrap it up. I played Arcade Hits Super Pack, Gunblade New York, and LA Machine Guns. It's a Wii light gun shooter compilation of old light gun games. Super fun. I got at a garage sale. I got like some cheesy like pistol grip for your Wiimote, so I wanted to play.
I remember seeing those things because they sold them with I think it was it Resident Evil or the crossbow thing.
The one
There's like a
the one
Resident
that
Evil
I
rail
got
shooter game
is
that used it.
it came with some like it didn't come with it at the garage sale, but the package had advertised for some like budget game called like Wild West Shootout or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the game itself is very fun. I played a DS game called Away Shuffle Dungeon. I didn't play too much of it, but it's the concept is it's kind of like a top-down, maybe like a super easy roguelike / dungeon crawling type game on the DS, and each screen on the DS, the top and the bottom screen, are like a unique map that's connected. And every like 5 seconds or so, one of the two screens, the map will like shuffle and move to a new tile set. And so you're like navigating back and forth, up and down from the top to bottom screen over and over again until eventually it shuffles to where there's an exit to the dungeon.
Oh, that reminds me of another game that I saw that was actually really cool. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
It's called Survived By. It's like an MMO Rogue Legacy game. Like you've played Rogue Legacy, right?
Yeah.
Where like you run through the thing, you die, you pass traits on to the next, so on and so forth. You do that in this game too, where like you have your hero. That there's like I think there's 6 different characters you could play as, and it's free too, or it will be free. It's supposed to come out like next month, I think, or later this month or next month.
Mm-hmm.
It's MMO in the fact that you join in with other people and you go explore these randomly generated dungeons and like work your way through them. It looked really cool, and I liked like the sprite work for it and stuff. So definitely gonna have to check that one out later.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. And yeah, Away Shuffle Dungeon is also pretty cool. I've only played a couple hours, but it's definitely fun. A little easy, but it was getting harder right around the time that I stopped, so I bet that it ramps up pretty well. So, and then the last game I played, which I just started yesterday, is Shadowgate 64 for the Nintendo 64. And that is a Nintendo 64 ass Nintendo 64 game. It looks like a Nintendo 64 game with all the muddiness you'd expect. It has that silky smooth 15 frames per second.
Baby.
And I mean, it's a Shadowgate game. It's you're navigating in first person through environments, solving puzzles, trying to figure out how to proceed to the next area, and trying to avoid dying by making poor decisions. So, only a couple hours in so far. I'm liking it a lot. I don't know if Nick had the same positive impressions of it when he was watching me play it at my house, but it was good.
Yeah, it had like I don't know. It's hard to explain. It looked a little slow, but for the given genre, I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's supposed to be slow. True gamers, real gamers will like Shadowgate 64. Fake gamers that only play Skyrim.
Oh, those are the worst.
Hate those people.
I know. And then, obviously, I'm always playing in the Groove too, so it's not really worth mentioning. But Yeah, that's everything. Everything I've been playing. I think that
Pretty
probably
cool.
starts to wrap it up. The only other important piece of news that we need to get out of the way is that Mario is officially no longer a plumber canonically.
What?
Nintendo came out and said that Mario is no longer a plumber.
Oh
He
no!
got a job change?
They didn't specify what he is, just that he no longer is a plumber by trade.
Okay.
Another casualty to the shrinking middle class.
No.
Oh.
Maybe they just don't want to put pipes in the game anymore and have to explain it.
Man, I would like to assume that it's because they're setting him up for an amazing career change. I mean, Dr. Mario's still a doctor, so Plumber Mario needs to compete.
It's true.
All right, well, that'll probably wrap up this 3-man edition of the Bideo. As always, stay tuned for another random combination of anywhere between 1 and 3 of us in 2 weeks. Hopefully we can get all 4. We'll try. We'll try our best, but thank you for listening in anyways. Besides, we have all the important members here anyways, so.
True that.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Till next time.
Bye.